What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of LBFT Season 2. This is episode 16 of LBFT Season 2. For this episode, we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bears Los Angeles Rams game. We're going to be talking about that game. I was looking forward to watch this game because of the high-powered Los Angeles Rams offense going up against a equally high-powered Chicago Bears defense with Khalil Mack, with who else? My man Eddie Goldman from Florida State. Going up against those going up against those guys, going up against a great defense in Chicago. If you hadn't watched the game, the Chicago Bears defeated the Los Angeles Rams in a low-scoring game, 15-6. Giving the Rams their second loss of this NFL season, right after their 45-35 loss to the New Orleans Saints. Let's get to the Chicago Bears. Let's talk about Mitchell Trubisky. He was not good yesterday. He was just not that good. Completed 16 out of his 30 passing attempts. 110 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, completion percentage of completed 53.3% of his passes, QBR of 33.3. He was just not that impressive. 3 interceptions. Come on. You don't really need to look that bad. But although he's not as bad in this game as Jared Goff was, and I'll get into him in a little bit, but Mitchell Trubisky, he was not that good. He was not that good. He hasn't really impressed me one bit. I have yet to seen a QB performance from Mitchell Trubisky that has led me to believe that this kid can really not just make a lot of great plays, but also give you a lot of wins. He hasn't proven that yet. I have yet to see a great performance from a quarterback like Mitchell Trubisky. And until that happens, I'm still in that mindset. But anyway, Jordan Howard, the running back for the Chicago Bears, 19 carries, 101 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns, average 5.3 yards rushing. He was also not that impressive. As well as Allen Robinson, 5 receptions, 42 receiving yards, average 0 touchdowns, average 8.4 yards receiving. He was also not that impressive. The Chicago Bears offense as a whole is really not that great. It's really not something to brag about. Their offense is just not that good. Just the way they performed wasn't really all that great. But their defense, however, are very impressive with Khalil Mack, who's a big dude, by the way. And I will also get into more of the Chicago Bears defense. But let's get to the Los Angeles Rams. I'm just going by the offenses alone. The Los Angeles Rams offense, starting with Jared Goff. He was awful yesterday. He was god awful. This is the worst performance I have ever seen from Jared Goff. This is the worst he has ever been. I have ever seen him been or be. I didn't get it right. This was the worst I have ever seen him been or be as a QB for the Los Angeles Rams. This is the worst I've ever seen him been. Completed 20 out of his 45 passing attempts, 180 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Completion percentage of 45.5 and QBR of 19.1. 19.1! What the hell has happened to you, Jared Goff? What happened to you, man? This is not you. This is not what we are accustomed to seeing you be. For the most part, you've been a very great quarterback. You've been a really good quarterback. You have been considered a high MVP caliber player, quarterback. You have usually been a bona fide league MVP candidate for the past couple of years. And this was your worst performance I have ever seen from you. I have ever seen. I mean, my God! How awful! How pitiful! How disgraceful! I mean, what the hell has happened to you, man? I mean, damn! 4 interceptions? Are you kidding me? 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. QBR of 19.1. Come on, man. Come on. What happened? You gotta put yourself together, man. Anyway, Todd Gurley, 11 carries, 28 rushing yards. Averaged 2.5 yards rushing. Todd Gurley, he wasn't that great, but he was. But then again, he was going up against a really good rushing defense in the Chicago Bears. So it's really not that surprising, but still, Todd Gurley was underwhelming. Only because he was going up against the Chicago Bears defense that were really great on stopping the run. Robert Woods, one of the receivers for the Los Angeles Rams, 7 receptions, 61 receiving yards, averaged 8.7 yards receiving. He was also not that impressive. I mean, now, very much like the Chicago Bears offense, the Los Angeles Rams offense is also not really that impressive. Both offenses didn't do very well at not putting enough points to make it entertaining. Although, defensively, it was a really entertaining game. Both defenses did an absolute outstanding job. And I must say this. This was nowhere near as much of an offensive game as I thought it was going to be in terms of scoring points, because I predicted this to be a 20-plus point game. I picked the Los Angeles Rams to win this game by 1 point, 28-27. And I'll admit, I was wrong, and I want to apologize to the Chicago Bears for doubting you. I never thought that your defense would be able to beat up a really good Los Angeles Rams offense, but I was proven otherwise, and I feel humbled. I feel humbled for that. And I will also admit this. Before I predicted the Rams to win this game, I was originally about to lean towards the Bears winning this game because of the fact that they played at home and they have a really dynamic defense. But I decided to then pick the Rams anyway. So as a result, I was not being careful and thoughtful about who plays who at wherever they play. And then the Chicago Bears defense shuts down the Los Angeles Rams offense 15-6. So because of that, I would like to again say to the citizens of the Windy City, Chicago, that I'm sorry for not picking your team to win. They deserve the win, and I'll give their defense props. Not so much their offense, but their defense. I will give them props for what they had to do, for doing what they had to do. And again, this was a big defensive game. Both defenses did very well. But it's mostly the Chicago Bears defense that came in and ready to play real football. What they had to do in order to win the game, to win this game, they did it successfully. They held the Los Angeles Rams offense passing game under 200 yards, which is their fifth time in their 2018 schedule. And the Bears also held the Rams running game under 100 yards, which is the ninth time in their schedule. They also didn't allow a single touchdown in this game, which is the first time that they haven't gave up a touchdown this season. I believe since 2016, when on the last regular season game of the 2016 regular season for the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Actually, before we get to that, I will say this. The Los Angeles Rams defense did well, but even they couldn't help win this game because Jared Goff was so terrible in this game, along with the offense. They were just horrible, especially Jared Goff. He looked like a shell of himself in this game. He looks like a shell of himself. And it's just really surprising to me. Because I will say that I was not surprised. I picked the Los Angeles Rams, like I said, to win this game, but I wasn't really all that surprised that the Chicago Bears won because I was expecting it to be again, close game, very close game, especially with 20 plus points, 28 to 27. But no, this game was a lot. The score, the final score of the game was more surprising, and I didn't expect it to be much lower than I predicted. But anyway, the Chicago Bears offense also didn't look good either. But at least they scored a touchdown, 2 field goals, and 1 safety. At least they scored enough points to win this game. But when you look at the Los Angeles Rams offense, who are regarded as one of the top 3 best offensive teams in the NFL, they couldn't even score a touchdown or more to catch up with the Chicago Bears. This was the worst game that This was the worst game of the Los Angeles Rams 2018 NFL season. This was the worst they have ever been this year. 6 points, 2 field goals. You couldn't even score 1 touchdown? Not one? Not one single touchdown? That's inexcusable, man. That's embarrassing. This is the worst performance I have ever seen, like I said, from Jared Goff. 4 interceptions? 4 damn interceptions? But Jared Goff is not the only reason why the Los Angeles Rams lost. But he is one of the major reasons why they lost. 4 interceptions? Come on, man. You gotta do better than that. Not to mention that he didn't have a single touchdown pass. How embarrassing. But anyway, and by the way, this is the first time that the Los Angeles Rams have scored 6 points or lower since 2016. I'm now getting into what I was originally going to say, which was Jeff Fisher's final year as the Rams head coach, 2016. And that was also the Rams' final losing season. Their record was 4-12. That is why. That is why Sean McVay is head coaching this Los Angeles Rams team, and why they're winning more games than they ever have before. It was the fact that Jeff Fisher ran this Los Angeles Rams team to the ground and has given them nothing but losses after loss after loss after loss after loss, pain and misery that he gave to the Rams fans. From, I believe it was 2011 to 2016. I think he became the Rams head coach in 2011, either that or 2010. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, that is, again, that's the reason why Sean McVay is the head coach of this team and why they're winning a lot more games than they ever have before. Even last season, where they won 11 games, which was the first time since 2003 that they ever have a winning record. That is 13 seasons that the Los Angeles Rams have ever had losing seasons. 13 losing seasons they've had. And they finally had a winning season in 2017, last year. So, anyway, another thing, another reason as to why they lost is because of the cold weather. The cold weather. The Los Angeles Rams could not handle the cold that was freezing them. Which reminds me of something. There's a clip of ESPN commentator named Stephen A. Smith who goes on First Take with Max Kellerman and Molly Karam from Monday through Friday mornings. And the clip was from October 30th when they were talking about the possibility of the Chiefs having a clear path to the Super Bowl in the AFC. And Max Kellerman was making his Los Angeles Chargers argument about them being the team to beat in the AFC for the Chiefs and the Patriots. And Stephen A. Smith then talked about a movie War of the Worlds starring Tom Cruise. And he used that to make his argument about the Chargers. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, you remember, what was the name of that movie with the aliens with Tom Cruise, and then when they came, like the Massachusetts
War
or
of
whatever.
the Worlds?
War of the Worlds, yeah. That's what it is.
I'm not big in aliens.
Well,
that was an Orson Welles
I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. That's just me. But War of the Worlds, right? What killed those aliens at the end of the movie? The cold weather. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. The fact of the matter is, what happened? At the end of the day, they're sitting there, they're terrorizing folks and all of this other stuff. And then at the end of the movie, you just see them just collapsing. What happened? They froze to death. That's charges.
And that's the Rams as well yesterday. That is also the Rams. They couldn't handle the cold weather in Soldier Field. The cold weather combined with a really good pass rush stopping the Chicago Bears defense were too much for the Los Angeles Rams offense to overcome and win this game. Also, Sean McVay made some really pitiful playmaking choices. And he admitted in his post-game press conference that the Rams' loss is on him, saying that it's not Jared Goff's fault for looking bad. It's Sean McVay himself who made Jared Goff look bad. He admitted that. Now, whether this is true or not is a different story, but he admitted that he didn't make the right calls and give them to the Rams offense in order to win the game. He takes responsibility for the mistakes that not just the players made, but the coaching staff and himself made as well. Now, let's look at the whole NFL playoff picture here, starting with the NFC. The New Orleans Saints are now ahead of the Los Angeles Rams as the number 1 seed in the NFC. After their 28-14 win against my Buccaneers, as well as the Rams' 15-6 loss to the Bears, and not only that, the Saints clinched the NFC South title. They are now the NFC South champions, and they lead the tiebreaker between them and the Los Angeles Rams for number 1 in the NFC to enter the playoffs because of their head-to-head 45-35 win against the Rams back in November 4th. So you got the New Orleans Saints leading the NFC South at number 1. I can't speak right. You got the NFC South's New Orleans Saints at number 1. You got the NFC West Los Angeles Rams at number 2. You have the NFC North's Chicago Bears at number 3, and you have the NFC East Dallas Cowboys at number 4. All 4 of those teams, by the way, are division leaders. Then you got the other 2 teams, the Seahawks and the Vikings. The Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings, in all likelihood, going to be the wildcard teams to go on the road against the Cowboys and the Bears in the playoffs. If the Vikings win all of their last 3 games of their season and play at Soldier Field, I believe the Rams will beat the Vikings in the wildcard round and enter the divisional round against, I'm thinking, the Los Angeles Rams, based on what their record looks like after their last 3 games of the regular season. But yeah, that's just how I feel. And if the Seattle Seahawks win all their last 3 games of the season and play at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, there are 2 likely scenarios that would happen. 1, the Dallas Cowboys will barely win at home against the Seattle Seahawks by either 3 or 4 points. Or 2, the Seattle Seahawks will claim their road win against the Dallas Cowboys in the wildcard round. And if I really have to choose between 2 of those scenarios being very likely, I'm going with the latter. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Dallas Cowboys hater, because I despise their fan base. They're one of the worst fan bases in American football history, right alongside Alabama fans, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe Patriots fans, but mostly Cowboys fans and Alabama fans are two of the worst fan bases in football history. But also because I really see the Seattle Seahawks being a better team overall than the Dallas Cowboys. And also a more competitive team more competitive than the Dallas Cowboys overall, both offensively and defensively. I see the Seattle Seahawks being an overall better competitive team than the Dallas Cowboys. That's just the way I see it. I see Seattle as a sleeper team in the NFC. I just believe it. If the Seattle Seahawks go on the road to face the Cowboys, I believe the Seattle Seahawks will beat the Dallas Cowboys. Or if the Seattle Seahawks play at home and they host the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round, I also believe that they will beat the Dallas Cowboys. either on the road or at home. Either way, I believe the Seahawks will beat the Cowboys. That's just the way I look at it. Because I see Seattle as a better team, both offensively and defensively, than the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think their offense is that elite. I don't really see it that way, but their defense, I do believe, are very elite. They have a very elite defense. I mean, look at their 13-10 win against the New Orleans Saints. Formerly the number one offense in the NFL. And they held the Saints to 10 points. Can you believe that? I still can't believe that. But anyway, that's just the way I look at it. Now, let's get to the AFC playoff picture here. The Kansas City Chiefs, after their 27-24 overtime win against the Baltimore Ravens, and yes, I did watch that game, particularly the ending of it. The ending of that game was absolutely insane. It was one of the most intense endings to a football game I've ever seen. One of the most intense endings to an NFL game I've ever seen. It's just that ridiculous, man. I mean, my goodness. My lord. Anyway, it was a great game, I will say. The Kansas City Chiefs, after their 27-24 overtime win against the Baltimore Ravens, they are the number one seed in the AFC and have clinched their spot in the playoffs. But they haven't won the AFC West Division yet, which makes no sense because I think they won 4 of their divisional rivalry games against three of their divisional rivals. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, they will have to beat the Los Angeles Chargers to claim the AFC West championship. So you got the Chiefs at 1, leading the AFC West. You got the Patriots, the New England Patriots, at 2, leading the AFC East. You got the Houston Texans at 3, leading the AFC South. And you got the Steelers, who just lost to the halfless Oakland Raiders team, by the way, at 4, leading the AFC North. And the other two teams, the other 2 AFC teams, the Chargers and the Ravens, are likely going to be the wildcard teams to go on the. Are also going to be likely to go into the wildcard. I can't speak. I apologize. Are likely going to be the wildcard teams to go on the road against the Texans and the Steelers. And if that turns out to be the case, then I believe the Chargers will beat the Steelers again. And I also believe that the Texans will win at home against the Baltimore Ravens. That's my prediction. If the Chargers visit the Steelers at Heinz Field again, this time in the wild card round, the Chargers, I believe, are going to win again against the Steelers. Much like the Jacksonville Jaguars did last season, when the Jaguars in the regular season of last year dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in the playoffs, the Jaguars have beaten the Steelers yet again. Same thing will happen with the Chargers against the Steelers at Heinz Field twice. So yeah, that's just the way I look at it. And Texans, I believe, will beat the Ravens, like I said. But only if that is. But only if all of that is the case, because you never know who might win the last 3 regular season games or lose. You just never know what would happen. But we will have to wait and see how this will come down to. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts and opinions on the Chicago Bears Los Angeles Rams game. Chicago Bears shut down the Los Angeles Rams 15-6. And by shut down, I don't mean in a dominant way. I mean they shut down in terms of defensively. Defensively, the Chicago Bears shut down the Los Angeles Rams offense. Not just by not giving up points, but also not giving up too many yards, both passing and rushing. That's just the reason why I used the word shut down, because of how elite that Chicago Bears defense is. Even against a high-powered offense like the Los Angeles Rams, even though they didn't look like that yesterday against the Bears. But anyway, guys, that is it. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and comment down below to let me know what you think of this game. Do you think the Chicago Bears won, or did you think that the Los Angeles Rams lost? If you enjoy what you've seen here and you want to see future episodes of LBFT from me, please press the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next episode of LBFT. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight. Oh, and by the way, my review for Unbreakable will be up later today, so stay tuned.